On a bitter, cold evening, a widowed grandma cracks open her door to a pair of trembling pups begging for warmth. Come sunrise, her secluded shack is buzzing with cop cars and sirens, uncovering a wild secret those furry strays hauled in. Hang tight, this twist will blow your mind and warm your heart forever. It was one of those bone-chilling nights where the wind sliced right through you like a knife. Deep in the backwoods, 82-year-old Eleanor sat by her flickering hearth, nursing a mug of hot cocoa. She'd been flying solo out here for over 15 years since her hubby kicked the bucket. The hustle of city life? Nah, that wasn't her jam anymore. She liked the quiet, the pop of logs burning, the occasional hoot from an owl. But damn, sometimes that emptiness hit hard. Staring at the empty armchair across from her, ghosts of old laughs echoing in her head. Then, out of nowhere, a pitiful yelp cut through the howl outside. Eleanor froze, cocoa halfway to her lips. Was that the branches creaking or something else? Nope, there it went again, two whines blending together, sounding desperate as hell. Her gut twisted. No way could she ignore that. Bundling up in her ratty old coat, she grabbed a flashlight and yanked the door open. A gust smacked her face, but there they were, two little furballs huddled on her stoop, shaking like leaves in a storm. The bigger one locked eyes with her, all wide and pleading, while the tinier one burrowed against its sib. "Hey, you poor things," Eleanor muttered, her voice soft against the biting chill. "Come on in before you turn into pupsicles." She scooped them up gently, feeling their icy bodies quiver in her arms. Back inside, she plopped them by the fire on a worn blanket, rubbing their damp coats dry. "There you go. Warm up now." The pups sniffed around, then lapped at some heated milk she poured into a dish. Their little tails started thumping faintly, and Eleanor couldn't help but grin. It had been ages since anything this cute needed her. As the night dragged on, the bigger pup climbed right into her lap, nuzzling her hand like it had known her forever. "You guys must have had a rough go," she whispered, stroking its ears. The smaller one curled up tight beside her, letting out a content sigh. For the first time in forever, that nagging loneliness eased up. The fire crackled warmly, and Eleanor felt a spark of joy flicker back to life. Little did she know these strays weren't just lost. They were about to drag her into something way bigger than a cozy night in. The storm outside raged on, but inside peace reigned. Eleanor rocked in her chair, the pups dozing soundly. "Guess we're a team now," she said with a chuckle. But as sleep tugged at her, a weird vibe lingered, like the woods were holding their breath for what was coming next. Morning light snuck through the frosty panes, painting the room in a hazy glow. Eleanor stirred, expecting the pups to be all sleepy and cute, but nope, they were wired, pacing the floor with urgent yips. The bigger one sniffed at the door crack like it smelled trouble, while the smaller one circled the rug, letting out sharp barks that made her jump. "Whoa, easy there, fellas," Eleanor cooed, wrapping her robe tighter. "What's got you all riled up?" She peeked out the window. Nothing but a blanket of white, no tracks, no nothing. But the pups weren't buying it. Their noses twitched like crazy, ears perked at invisible threats. A knot formed in her stomach. Last night they'd been chill. Now they acted like guard dogs on high alert. She tossed some scraps in a bowl for breakfast, but they barely nibbled, eyes glued to the windows. "Did some critter spook ya?" she asked, kneeling down. The bigger pup growled low, not at her, but at whatever lurked beyond. Goosebumps prickled her arms. This wasn't normal. She latched the windows extra tight, but the tension hung thick. As the day wore on, snow kept dumping, turning everything into a winter wonderland or nightmare. The pups stuck to her like glue, but their edginess rubbed off. By dusk, the wind died down to an eerie quiet. Eleanor tried reading to distract herself, but her mind wandered. The ticking clock was her only steady beat until bam! A heavy pound shook the door. 3 solid thuds, like someone meant business. Her heart skipped. Visitors? Out here? At night? The pups exploded into barks, fur standing on end. Who's out there? She hollered, voice steadier than she felt. Silence. She gripped the knob, but instinct screamed no. Another 3 knocks rattled the frame. Peering through the glass, neither just shadows and snow. Not tonight, buddy, she muttered, sliding the bolt home. The knocking quit, but the pups stayed jacked up, staring daggers at the door. Eleanor sank into her chair, pulse racing. What the heck was going on? These pups had brought more than cuteness. They carried some kind of secret that had her on edge. Sleep came fitful, dreams mixed with whimpers. Come dawn, a weird wail pierced the air, not the wind, but sirens. The pups went nuts, scratching at the window. Eleanor bolted up, heart pounding. Flashing lights danced across the walls, red and blue, like a bad dream turning real. Cops? Here? She threw on her slippers, the pups at her heels, barking like mad. Whatever those strays had fled from, it had caught up and fast. The sirens blared closer, turning Eleanor's gut to ice. She cracked the door, cold air rushing in, and there they were, 6 squad cars parked haphazardly in her yard, lights pulsing like heartbeats. Officers in bulky jackets spread out, hands near holsters, yelling orders that echoed through the trees. "Ma'am, stay put inside," a burly voice boomed through a speaker. "Open up slow when we say." Eleanor's mind reeled. This had to be a mix-up. She was just an old lady with a couple of mutts. The pups pressed against her legs, growling low. "Okay, ma'am. Come on out nice and easy," the voice called. She stepped onto the porch, pups glued to her side. A tall sheriff with a stern face approached, badge shining. "Name's Sheriff Harlan. You all right in there?" "Yeah, I'm fine," Eleanor replied, voice shaky. "What's all this ruckus about?" "I ain't done nothing." Harlan nodded, eyes scanning her place. "Not saying you have, but we got a situation. Anyone else here?" "Just me and these 2 pups I picked up last night," she said. At Pups, the officers perked up. One radioed something quick, while a young deputy knelt to check them out. "Ma'am, hear anything weird overnight?" "Knocks, footsteps." Harlan pressed. Her breath hitched those thuds. "Yeah, someone banged on my door around midnight. I yelled, but no answer. Didn't see squat when I looked." Deputies swapped looks, radios buzzing with codes. "That lines up," Harlan muttered. "We gotta check your place, if that's cool." Eleanor nodded, unease building. As they poked around, one deputy brushed snow off her porch corner. "Sheriff, over here." Under a loose plank, a scrap of bloody cloth peeked out. Eleanor's stomach dropped. "Blood?" she whispered. The pups whined, pawing the spot like they knew. Harlan's face turned grave. "Looks fresh, ma'am. These pups might not be random strays. We'd been chasing a bad guy who pulled a nasty heist and town shot up on the run, headed this way. You think he was here?" Eleanor gasped. "Could be. Maybe ditched something or the dogs tailed him. The smaller pup barked sharp, nosing the railing. Deputies dug deeper, uncovering a smeared boot print in the slush. "Matches our guy's tread," the deputy said. Harlan radioed, "Secure the scene. Forensics en route." Eleanor's knees wobbled. Her simple kindness had yanked her into a crime flick. The pups eyed her, almost apologetic, but their tails twitched with purpose. Whatever storm they'd brought, it was far from over, and she was smack in the middle. Harlan straightened, radio still crackling. "Ma'am, rack your brain any strangers lurking before last night? Even a day or two back?" Eleanor shook her head. "Nope, it's dead quiet out here in winter. Grocer swung by a few days ago, that's it." She paused. "Except those knocks." "Never saw who." A deputy squinted at the snow. "Boss, check this." Under fresh powder, a big, staggered print emerged boot sole, caked in dried red. Harlan's eyes narrowed. "That's our perp's match. Wounded robber, armed, bolted into these woods after the job." Eleanor's eyes widened. "You reckon the pups were his, or followed him?" "Possible both," Harlan said. "Crooks sometimes use dogs to throw us off. Or these little guys escaped and led the trail right to you." The bigger pup trotted to the steps, sniffing hard, then yipped commandingly and glanced back. "They're onto something," a deputy noted. The smaller one joined, both nosing a path into the yard. Harlan's gaze sharpened. "They're tracking? Team, tail 'em careful. This guy's no joke." Eleanor watched, a mix of fear and wonder bubbling up. Her rescues weren't just cute. They were sharp as tacks. As the group trailed the pups deeper into the white woods, emotions swirled, compassion turning to courage, loneliness fading in the face of this wild ride. The pups bounded ahead, noses glued to the ground, leading past thick pines. Eleanor's boots crunched snow, heart thumping with each step. "These furballs know their stuff," she murmured. Harlan nodded. "Yeah, they're pros." Suddenly the pups halted by a snow mound under a spruce, digging frantically. A deputy cleared it, bam, a bloody duffel with cash stacks and a pistol inside. "Jackpot to loot," Harlan confirmed, voice tight. "Perp's close. Lock it down." The pups circled, barking at a nearby gully. "More tracks down there," a deputy whispered. "Leading bad." Eleanor's awe grew. Her act of mercy had sparked this chain. Harlan shot her a respectful look. "Without you sheltering him, we'd be chasing ghosts. These pups are heroes, and so are you for trusting your gut." Pride swelled in her chest, pushing out the fear. The woods felt alive with purpose now, her isolation shattered by this unlikely alliance. As deputies fanned out, the emotional tide shifted, from shock to steely resolve. Whatever hid in that ravine, they were ready to face it head-on, Pups leading the charge. The ravine loomed dark and steep, snow blanketing its edges like a trap. Deputies circled quiet, boots hushed. The pups perched at the rim, noses flaring, letting out urgent yaps that cut the silence. Harlan signaled freeze. Everyone strained to hear. A rustle echoed, up too big for wildlife, too sneaky for chance. "He's holed up down there," Harlan hissed. "Wounded, but could be packing heat." "Ma'am, hang back for safety." Eleanor planted her feet. "No way. These pups picked me first. I'm seeing this through." Her voice held a fire she hadn't felt in years. Loneliness burned away by this bond. Harlan eyed her, then nodded. "All right, but stick close." The pups barked again, zeroing on a shadowed overhang. Then movement. A ragged man lurched out, jacket ripped, arms slung in a bloody rag. His eyes wild, he scrambled up the far side. "Freeze, county sheriff," Harlan bellowed. Guns drawn, but Eleanor pushed forward a step. "It's done, son," she called, tone firm yet kind, like scolding a wayward kid. "You're beat up bad. Let 'em patch you up, don't drag this out." The man halted, panting hard. For a beat, just wind whispering. Then he slumped, knees hitting snow. Deputies swarmed, cuffing him quick, snagging a hidden revolver. "Got him," a deputy radioed. Relief washed over like a warm wave. Harlan clapped Eleanor's shoulder. "Your words tipped it. Saved a shootout, maybe lives including his." She knelt, Pups nuzzling her hands, tails wagging fierce. "You brave little warriors," she whispered. "We nailed it as a crew." Emotion choked her fear, melting to triumph, that empty heart now bursting with connection. As they hauled the guy up, snowflakes danced soft. Deputies bagged more evidence, the ravine yielding secrets thanks to the Pups' smarts. Eleanor's world had flipped, but in the best way. From solo nights to this adrenaline rush, she'd found her spark again. Back at the cabin, lights still flashing, Harlan approached, wrapped up tight. Loot recovered, bad guys headed to lockup. "Your kindness cracked this wide open." Eleanor beamed, scratching the Pup's ears. These rascals did the heavy lifting. Gratitude swelled, turning the cold morning bright. Her quiet life? Appended, but richer for it. The emotional arc peaked, compassion birthing courage, isolation yielding family. With the perp loaded up and vehicles rumbling off, a hush fell over the yard. Eleanor stood on her porch, Pups at her feet, watching taillights fade into the trees. The sun peaked higher, melting the chill a bit. Sheriff Harlan lingered, thermos in hand. "Here, hot Joe to steady the nerves," he said, pouring her a cup. "Thanks," she replied, sipping slow, still sinking in. "I just gave 'em shelter, didn't expect a manhunt." Harlan chuckled. "Life's full of curveballs. But hey, without your big heart, that crook might have slipped away. Town's safer, 'cause of you three." The Pups yipped approval, chasing each other's tails in the snow. Eleanor laughed, a sound rusty but real. "They're keepers, all right." "Speaking of," Harlan said, "department can help rehome M if needed. But I reckon they've picked their spot." She nodded firm. "Damn right. This is home now." The bigger Pup leaped into her arms, licking her chin, while the smaller one rolled belly up for rubs. Warmth bloomed in her chest, chasing away years of quiet ache. As afternoon light filtered in, Eleanor headed inside, Pups trotting behind. She stoked the fire, poured fresh kibble, and settled in her rocker. "You two turned my world upside down," she murmured, "but in a good way. Like fate dropped you here." They curled up close, breaths sinking with the chair's creak. Outside, woods stood sentinel, but no longer lonely. Calls came later, investigators with questions, neighbors buzzing about the news. Each time, Eleanor shared the tale with a glow, Pups basking in pets from visitors. Harlan swung by one last time, hat in hand. Official kudos from the force. "You're a legend now, and these mutts? Pure gold. Couldn't have done it without them," she said. As he left, peace settled deep. Her days of fading into the background? Over. Now with wagging tails and playful nips, life pulsed vibrant. Evening brought stars twinkling clear. Eleanor gazed out, Pups snoring soft. "You were my miracle," she whispered. Compassion had sparked it all, opening her door, trusting instincts. It mended her solitude, proving one kind deed could ripple out, catching bad guys and forging bonds that lasted. The moral rang true. Goodness pays off in spades, turning strangers into saviors, loneliness into love. Eleanor's heart, once hollow, now overflowed. In that cozy glow, an old gal and her heroic hounds embraced their new chapter, forever changed by a night of unexpected grace.